would like to explain that this is a graduate class in criminology. The title is Workshop in Reality Therapy. Our objective is to train students in how to use this particular form of treatment with offenders. We've gathered tonight to present a number of role-play situations. The students have been given an assignment to come in today with a situation that they would like to present as a problem. And we're more or less twisting arms to get them to come up with their presentation. So let's get going with the next situation. Chu, you take the seat over.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm a 30-year-old person, and I've been asked to come in by the Women Crisis Center because I have beaten my wife repeatedly, about 6 times in the last 3 months. And to prevent the Women Crisis Center taking up this action with the police, they have asked me to come in to talk to one of the counselors to see if we can solve this problem. So I'm here now, and I'm meeting with the counselor in the Women Crisis Center.
My name is Rush.
Yes.
Can you tell me?
Speak up.
Can you tell me some of the events that led up to this last episode?
I really don't know. You know, it all just happens, and I think it's all her fault. She's the one that starts it every time.
How does she start it?
Well, you know, she just doesn't do what she's supposed to do as a wife.
Can you tell me what a wife means to you?
Well, she's supposed to take care of the house, take care of the food, and take care of the children, and she doesn't do it. You know, everything's a mess when I come back, and when I shout at her, she screams, and you know, so then it just starts.
You said you shouted at her. Do you think that's appropriate?
Well, what am I supposed to do? You know, I go out and work all day, and I come back, I work hard, and then I find everything is in a mess. You know, I have to do something.
That shouting and hitting is not something you need to be doing.
Well, you know, I don't intentionally want to hurt her, but when we argue, you know, and then, you know, it just builds up, and then before I know it, you know, fists fly, and she throws things back at me.
Of course she does. She has to protect herself the best way she can.
Yeah, but you know, it's all her fault. She should be doing her job.
Were you drinking when all this was going on?
Well, I take a little after work, but you know, I don't think that, you know, that has anything to do with this problem at the house. You know, and I don't know why she raised this with the Women Crisis Center. I mean, this is a personal affair. This is a family affair. You know.
But when a person is harmed, that's not a family affair. There's people being hurt. And you've got to realize what you're doing is not only wrong, it's against the law.
Well, then she should know what she's doing. You know, she should correct her ways. You know, I mean, what's the point of me, you know, working so hard for the family, and then she just doesn't do her part?
Would you be interested in getting into some family counseling with your wife?
Well, you see, this is why I came in. I was told that, you know, I should come in, otherwise there's going to be a police case and there could be too much problems.
Mm-hmm. But right now your wife is terrified of you. She's absolutely terrified, and she's got a good right to be.
Well, I don't see why she should be terrified. If she starts doing her job properly, she would be all right.
When somebody beats you black and blue, it tends to make you scared, terrified. With all the other episodes, were you drinking then?
No, I think maybe, a couple of times I drank.
Do you think you have a problem with alcohol?
Oh, definitely not. I don't think so. I think the problem is with her.
We need to be looking at what you're doing, not at her right now. What you're doing has got to stop.
Well, what I've been doing is just trying to straighten her out.
Does it seem to be working?
Well, I don't think so, but that's her problem, isn't it?
It's your problem.
Yeah, I suppose it's my problem. Since she's married to me, I have no choice.
Brenda, would you mind if I took over this point? I happen to overhear part of this interview, and I thought I'd like to step in.
Yes.
We're trying to do reality therapy here, and we want to move along at a pretty fast pace. So the first thing we want to do in reality therapy is to find out exactly what your behavior was. Just what did you do? Try to make it so I'm seeing it in a moving picture. What happened? What time did you come home?
Well, I come home about 9:30.
No, this particular night.
I came in about 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. What did you do up until 10?
Well, after work, I went out with my friends and
Now I want to hear more about that. You went out with your friends. What time did you quit work?
finished work about 5:30.
5:30. And how many friends did you go with?
3 friends.
3 friends. And where did you go?
We went to one of our friends' house and...
To a house?
Yeah.
Give me a name for this friend.
Oh, Mr.
Jack.
Wong.
Mr. Wong.
Yeah.
And what did you do at Mr. Wong's house?
Well, we had some food and then we played cards. We played poker.
What else? Did you have anything to drink? That's what I'm interested in.
In this case, I had just a couple of drinks.
How many you mean a couple? You mean 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
No, just a couple of beers.
Just 2 beers?
2 beers.
What size beers?
Small bottles.
Small bottles. What brand do you remember?
Tiger beer.
Tiger beer. 2 bottles of Tiger beer. And how long did you continue playing cards?
Well, we played till about 9 o'clock.
And then what did you do?
Then we went out and had supper.
Where'd you have supper?
Oh, at one of the stalls on the streets.
Do you have anything to drink during supper?
No, I had coffee.
Just coffee. And then what did you do?
Then I
It's
came
now
home.
about 10:15.
Yeah, then I
Now
drove
let me
home.
get this very clear. You had only 2 beers up until the time you came home. Is
Yes.
that correct? Now think
Yes.
back. We want to get a picture. Just right. Just 2 beers.
Yes.
So you weren't under any great influence? of
No,
that?
I don't think so.
All right, because I heard you mention before that heaven forbid that anybody should think of you as a drinker.
That's right.
All right, we'll see if we can work that out. Then what happened? You walked into the house, and what struck you?
Yeah, and as usual, I find the place is in a mess. And the
What do you
kids
mean
are-
in a mess?
There's clothing everywhere, and the kids' toys are all over the
How many
place.
kids you got?
We've got 3 kids.
How old?
Oh, they are 4, 2, and 1.
Very difficult age,
Yeah.
you know that. All right, and stuff was all over the house,
Yeah.
clothing,
You
etc.
can't even find out chairs.
And where were the kids? Were the kids up or were they asleep?
The kids were up in their rooms playing.
They were still awake
Yeah,
at 10:30.
yeah.
All right, and you walk in and you see this clothing around, you hear the kids playing, and what did you do?
And, I see her there sitting down watching television, and that makes me boil, and I try to go to the fridge to get something to drink, and there's no water in the fridge. So
And what
I just threw a plate at the fridge.
How big a plate?
Oh, the dinner plate
Dinner plate. You threw it at the refrigerator or at your wife?
at the fridge. Yes.
And then what happened?
So she jumps up and she tries to clean up, and as she comes near to me, I just kick her.
Could you demonstrate she's bending down or what?
Yeah, she comes to pick up the pieces, and I just kick her off.
Where did you kick her? What part of her body?
I don't know.
Face?
I just kick her.
Just took a kick.
Yeah.
Is it a hard kick or a moderate kick, or it's just a soft, loving tap?
I'm not sure.
All right, what did you do after that? Did she say anything when you kicked her?
Yeah, and then she screamed and then
What did she
cried,
say?
And she says, what the hell's wrong with you? And then she starts crying.
Right, all right, I see the picture. What happened after that?
And I just pushed her and I walked out of the house.
I'm a little bit confused. Is this the full extent of wife beating? That you pushed her and that you kicked her?
Yeah, and I walked out into the garden.
Let me ask you, Mr. Chu. I'm going to speak to your wife. Is she going to agree with this version of the assault?
Well, that's what happened.
Will she back you up with this story? Will she say that's exactly what happened? Because after all...
Well, she should, because that's what
After all,
happened.
the neighbors were complaining that this wife beating is a regular thing, that you're aware of that, and that...
I think the neighbors are just busybodies. They should put their notes into
Could
this.
be, but that's the reality of the situation. You've got to face it. They're taking a very serious view of any assault on women these days. You're very fortunate to be sitting here, because if a policeman were called, the way the rules are enforced these days, you would be behind bars now. Are you aware of that? There's a very strong feeling against wife beating, and some kindly person suggested, instead of our calling the police, we're going to give you a chance to get out of this mess by coming to the Women's Center. Do you appreciate that?
Well, I came in to see whether, how we can solve this problem.
All right, let's talk about how we can solve this problem. First of all, do you appreciate that another episode of this kind probably means you'll go to jail? Even though your wife will have to go on welfare and be all sorts of horrible complications.
Yeah, but it's all her fault. I mean, something should be done to her.
There's very little that we can do to her. We have her here. She is in her domain. And the way the law operates and the way this community operates, you are wrong to raise your hand against your wife. Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
Now let's think what might happen. You take a few drinks and come home and feel angry and disgusted, etc., and you again assault your wife. What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know.
You will not get the kind of break you're getting now. You will be arrested, charged with wife beating. Neighbors will be very happy to testify that they hear fights going on there all the time. They hear your wife screaming as though she's being murdered. That they can't stand it very much longer. They gave you a break this time by notifying the Women's Center. The next time it will be the police. Would you be happy about the prospect of spending some time in jail?
Well, definitely not.
So what can we plan? What can we work out so that this doesn't happen again? And please don't tell me your wife is going to change. I can tell you your wife is not going to change.
Well, I don't know. I mean, what should I do?
Well, let's make a resolution that there'll be no drinking whatsoever. Not even 2 beers.
Okay.
Although frankly, you don't mind my telling you, I think there was more involved here than 2 beers. The neighbors have given us some notes which indicate that heavy drinking seems to be part of the problem. Also, there are some organizations that help people that have a drinking problem. You're not ready to go into that kind of situation because you're going through the process of what we call technically denial. Maybe when you're ready to face the fact that this may be the crux of the problem, come back here and we'll make some suggestions as what you can do about taking care of the drinking problem. But let's make at least an initial resolution that you'll try to come home directly after work and that you'll try to avoid arguing with your wife about the housekeeping. Is that possible?
Well, it's not easy, but I suppose I can try.
It's hard. I know it's hard, but you can try. Will you make an effort at least to let 1 week go by? I'll see you next, let's see, today is Tuesday. I'll see you next Tuesday. Let's see if for 1 week you can avoid an argument with your wife.
All right.
Now, I keep notes, so you don't mind if I show you my note and ask you to please put your initials next to it to indicate that we came to this very definite conclusion as a plan. Right?
Yes.
Okay, here's my notebook, just put a little check there. And I'll see you next Tuesday at the same time right here. We'll talk about what else has to be done in this situation. In the meantime, thank your lucky stars that you're not sitting in a jail cell.
Okay, see you.
Good talking to you. Do you see how we apply the principles here of involvement? I'm reasonably friendly with him. I concentrate on behavior and on the concreteness with specific detail. We try to get the concrete behavior, and then we ask him to evaluate the behavior or what will happen if he repeats it. And he says, I'm sure he's convinced by now that something very drastic is going to happen. Then we work out a plan, the best plan we can come up with, the idea that he'll stay away from drinking and away from his companions for 1 week, and will try to control himself and his wife.